We face many difficulties in Egypt, about which least said the better, because we intend to go back to Egypt over and over and over again until this siege of Gaza is ended. And on the 6th of December, in just a few weeks' time, we will leave London again with a British and American convoy of aid. We hope it will be 500 vehicles long, 5 miles long, driving through Europe and Turkey and Syria and Jordan and Egypt until we arrive in Gaza. And I hope Malaysia will be represented on that convoy. I hope the name of Malaysia can be present somehow on that convoy. But the reason we're having to do this, and they're all just drops in the ocean, is because the international community continues to punish the victims of terrorism and reward the perpetrators of terrorism in the form of the State of Israel, a country which has broken more international laws than all the countries of the world put together, and yet which is greeted with a red carpet whilst its victims are called terrorists. The last time I spoke here, I told you about St. Augustine and his description of the encounter between Alexander the Great and a pirate. Ordering the pirate to halt, Alexander demanded, "How dare you terrorize these waters as a thief?" And the pirate answered, "How dare you terrorize the whole world? You who can call yourself an emperor and can call other men as you please." That's the world order that we have today. Those who call themselves emperors invent their own laws and invent their own permissions to bring death and war and devastation and siege and sanction and occupation upon others. And that's what we have to change. In Lebanon, in 2006, Israel, for the umpteenth time, launched yet another invasion, yet another occupation of a neighboring Arab country. Again, they used banned and illegal weapons. They destroyed the economy of Lebanon. They destroyed deliberately all the bridges, the schools. They intended to teach the Arabs a lesson. But by the grace of God, Sayyid Hassan Nasrallah and Hezbollah taught them a lesson instead. Which is a note of optimism I wish to introduce. You see, for all that terrifying weaponry that accompanied the speech of Dr. Mahathir, the one thing that has been established these last 7 years is that they can control the skies. They can have all the weapons that their wealth can buy them. But individual men and women in their sandals, with their bare feet, with their Kalashnikovs, and with their determination to defend their country against invasion, can still defeat them, as they have been defeated in Iraq. Because they launched all those weapons against Iraq. They destroyed Iraq. They broke it into pieces. They killed 1 million Iraqis. They sent 3 million Iraqis into exile. The lucky ones here in Malaysia. The unlucky begging on the streets of Amman in Jordan for the means of staying alive. They broke Iraq, but they did not break the resistance of the Iraqi people, which continues until this day and will continue until victory. But the last of my 4 examples that I have time to give relates in a way to the big picture. As we saw on the film accompanying the speech, These powerful countries, including my own, are powerful and have vetoes in the United Nations because they possess the ultimate weapon of mass destruction. They who possess thousands of nuclear weapons are busily threatening Iran, which doesn't have any nuclear weapons, with sanction and with potential invasion and occupation. Iran, according to al-Baradei, the head of the IAEA, whose job it is to police these matters, has no nuclear weapons. There is no evidence that she is trying to produce a nuclear weapon, according to al-Baradei, yet she is under threat. Whilst Israel has hundreds of nuclear weapons, illegally acquired, undeclared, subject to no treaty for having no declared nuclear weapons, Israel declines to sign the Non-Proliferation Treaty. Yet, not only unsanctioned goes Israel, but endlessly rewarded with new weapons, new monies, new diplomatic and political honors and support. What kind of message is this to the world? After all, and by the way, I'm against nuclear weapons. I was arrested outside the British nuclear weapons plant and carried away by the police on television. I gave the BBC the only ever recorded interview of a man being carried upside down by a group of police officers. And you can find it on YouTube if you like. I'm against nuclear weapons. But what I can't accept is that some countries can have nuclear weapons while other countries cannot. And some countries can threaten the countries which do not with oblivion. I cannot accept that Israel can have a mountain of weapons of mass destruction threatening all of its neighbors, whom it has regularly occupied and invaded, whilst those who have none must be blockaded and besieged, and if necessary, attacked. And this double standard is surely the heart of the matter. Iraq was invaded because it did not have weapons of mass destruction. North Korea will never be invaded because it has weapons of mass destruction. What kind of message is this to the world? Well, I know what kind of message it is to me, which is, I'd better get some weapons of mass destruction unless I want George W. Bush and Tony Blair to come and occupy me. Which is the opposite direction to the direction which we should be traveling. These hypocrites, not Democrats, these hypocrites, this hypocrisy, not democracy, must be our target. Dr. Mahathir was necessarily and objectively, correctly pessimistic if we will truly be able to call these hypocrites and these war criminals to account, at least in our lifetime. And he's right about that. The structure and the realities of world power and world politics make it unlikely. But I tell you this, when that Iraqi journalist, Muntadar al-Zaidi, took off his shoes and threw them at the head of George W. Bush, and then took off his second shoe and threw it at the head of George W. Bush, he was speaking for billions of people around the world when he denounced this criminal.